Hi, I'm Miss Hall, and I wanted to post this video to demystify the assignment that I posted on my website today. A lot of students seem to have some questions concerning how to complete the assignment, so I wanted to be sure to provide a verbal explanation as well, in addition to what I've already done in class for the students and the parents, and hopefully you can help your child understand the assignment. The first thing posted on my website for today was a recycling flyer assignment. Students will be creating a recycling flyer. We will be in the computer lab. We were there today and we'll be there all week. And they are creating a recycling flyer, and there's 3 questions in bold on the website. I actually have 5 questions there, but the first 3 are the most important and the only ones that I'm really concerned with them answering. The other 2 they can answer, but we will discuss the answers to those in a later unit in a different quarter, I think third quarter. So I'm not really concerned with them answering those. They can answer them if they choose to, but they are not a requirement. The first 3 that are in bold are the requirement, and those have to be answered in a paragraph on the flyer, which is convincing someone to recycle. Um, and in addition, they have to include graphics, pictures, maybe some recycling symbols or whatever to make it a flyer, like a flyer. But the questions have to be answered in paragraph form on the flyer. It can be done with a partner. Everybody has to turn in their own flyers, so um, they wouldn't need to print out 2 copies of the same flyer. Everybody has to do their own. They can collaborate on the information, but everybody needs to turn in their own flyer. Also, there are 10 vocabulary words that were given out last week, and those words are listed on the website in the post as well, and they have to use all 10 of those words in the paragraph. So basically they're using the vocabulary words in a sentence. So I'm assessing them on their vocabulary through their sentences as well. They will also have a vocabulary test on Monday, July 22nd on those 10 words, but they are also to include them in their paragraph on the recycling flyer. Another assignment that I gave them is because we're studying the scientific method, I wanted them to have practice thinking like a scientist. So I gave them this sheet about mixtures, and they can do the experiment at home and record it if they so choose to. Recording is not a requirement. It is totally an option for them, and they can email their recording to me, or they can just let me view it from their phone or whatever device they recorded it on. But what they have to do is use the steps of the scientific method to work through that sheet. They will not answer any questions on the paper. The paper should actually be blank with the exception of their name, date, and period on the paper. But they will be using the scientific method to answer, to figure out the problem, and going through the steps of the scientific method to think like a scientist. So the first step is figuring out what the problem is. What are we curious about? What's the question that we want to answer? And that was given to them today. So they read the paragraph at the top of the paper. In most classes, there was somebody that was able to say that the problem is trying to figure out the difference between homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures. And the kids don't know what those words mean. I'm well aware of that. And so the second step to the scientific method involves them doing some research and getting some background knowledge, and that's where they would figure out the meanings to those 2 words. What's the difference? We also will discuss those 2 words in the next couple of weeks in the matter and atoms unit when we discuss mixtures and solutions. So it's a nice segue into that. So students do their research and find out exactly what homogeneous and heterogeneous mixtures are in the first place, because they don't know that. And once they find that information and get some background knowledge, then they are to develop a hypothesis about what they think will happen when they conduct the experiment. So they develop an hypothesis, something like, I think mixing salt with water will be a homogeneous solution or mixture because blah blah blah, and vice versa with the starch. They will do the experiment at home. Like I said, they can record or not record, but they have to have typed up the steps of the scientific method as listed on the post or in the post on my website. Um, so after they develop a hypothesis, they then will have to list all the materials that they would need. And on the paper, it says something about a test tube and a stirrer. And we've had this discussion in class. They don't have test tubes at home, I'm sure. So a transparent glass that they could use to do the experiment so that they can see what happens when they mix the salt in the water and the starch in the water and stir it all up. Um, will work just as fine. And for a stirrer, they can use a spoon, a butter knife, a fork, whatever you have, a plastic knife, whatever you have that they can just use to stir it up. Um, so then they would, after the hypothesis, they'll list all the materials and gather that all up, and then they will actually do the experiment at home under the supervision of you or older sibling, parents or older sibling. So they would do the experiment, and then after they have conducted the experiment, they will record and analyze data. Recording and analyzing data for this particular experiment means drawing a picture of what they got, what they saw, labeling which one was homogeneous, heterogeneous, or whatever, and also stating whether the hypothesis was true or false. Did what they said would happen or not? And after they do that, then they will write up a conclusion, which is going to be an overall summary of what happened and what they observed and what they did and any other important information that they want to include in that summary. And then that's it. But their whole thing needs to be typed and will be in the computer lab all the rest of the week, so they have the rest of the week to balance time working on the flyer and the typing up the steps to the scientific method using the mixtures lab. And they would probably need to do the lab at home first. And if there's some issue with doing the lab at home or materials, they've been told to let me know by tomorrow, Wednesday, because I won't be here on Friday. So they've been told to let me know what they need and how I can help them ensure that they get this done. Thank you so much, and you have a great day.